Yes, sir. Welcome to another episode of Razorback Therapy. We've got the consensus four-star Razorback commit, Jaylon Braxton, in the house today. Jaylon, what's good, man?
What's up? What's up? How y'all doing?
Living the dream. We're better now that you've committed to the Hogs. You know what I'm saying? I
Already,
mean, that was
yes,
about
sir.
a week and a half ago. I know you've already kind of told that story over and over and over again. What I want to know is, has it been crazy since you committed? Like, what's it been like since you committed and said, I'm a Hog?
Oh, I like in my town, everybody know I'm a Razorback now. So wherever I go, oh, you just committed to Arkansas, yeah. And then like the fan support from Arkansas on social media is crazy, like no other. So, but now they should showing mad
Mm.
love.
That's awesome, man. So I'll tell you right off the bat, Trey said you're a 4-star, and we have some mad disagreements with that rating. And just curious, man. You know, a guy like you, Jaylon, does that drive you, or does it even matter? I mean, you're signed, you're a Razorback, and we can't wait to get you up here, man. But does it even matter?
Honestly, I don't pay too much mind about it. I personally think I should be a 5-star because of all the things that I do on the field. I kick return, power return, receiver, guarding the best receiver. So, and I think you turn on my film, it's not too many other people in the country really doing that. But it doesn't bother me much. I still just got to go out and play.
Let's talk about that film real quick, Jaylon, because just from watching your huddle reel, right? Like a couple things
Mhm.
immediately popped off. Obviously, yes, you do everything. You return, you play offense, you play defense. It looks like you never come off the field if you're like at a game
Nope.
watching a game. The first thing that popped off was really your IQ and instinct. Like for a player your age, you seem very intelligent on the field and that you really trust your instinct. And so I kind of want to
Yeah.
start there. Like, where does that come from? Because that's not something that just happens overnight. So, do you feel like you have a solid foundation of like not just on the field playing on your ability, but really having an understanding of what the heck is going on?
Yeah, I do. Well, one, I have to give some of that credit to my dad. He trains NFL
Mm,
DB, so I'm right there with him. So he's trained Chris Harris Jr., Keith
mm.
Lee, AJ Boye, multiple more, Morris Claiborne. I can keep naming, but I always grew up with them playing DB. So, and he always tells me, trust what you see. So you see
Mm.
something, go, because you're not wrong. So I just do that, and that also comes with just watching film.
With that being said, let's talk about your pops for a second. I've heard he wasn't too bad of an athlete back in his day as well. So, is there
Oh
anything
yeah,
on
yeah,
that
yeah.
you can share?
He told me he used to do the same thing I did in high school too. He was playing everything, and he said he was my same size. He was playing fullback. So
Ooh.
I guess you can say that's where some of the physicality comes from too.
Okay, well, that was the other thing. I don't know if I even said it, but the physicality definitely shows up. Um,
Yeah.
so I do have a question though. It looks like on some of your clips, when the play starts, you're locked in on the quarterback. Like you're reading what the quarterback is doing, which is a very high level approach to the game versus just
Mhm.
playing whatever the called coverage is. Now, I could just be misseeing it, but is that something you've already like or have already done as far as being at the high school level? Sort of when the play starts to develop, you're reading the quarterback, sort of seeing what he's doing to anticipate what you're going to do.
Yeah, it just all depends on what coverage I'm in. So if I'm playing cover two read, I'm gonna be sitting off, and I'm looking at the quarterback reading the 3-step, and the 3-step is like as soon as that quarterback snaps, opens up, he's finna throw a quick game. So that's when I'm jumping.
Mm.
That's all. So on those, I think that first play that happened, and then the third play, reading the 3-step, quarterback open up, I'm jumping.
Is that something that like has enhanced your recruitment? Like, have coaches taken notice to that?
Oh, balls, like you talking about like instinct, ball skills? Yes, definitely. Yeah,
Yes. Okay.
yeah,
And then I guess the other thing, you already said it a second ago, but your physicality. Like, I'm telling you right now, if you're watching this or you're listening to this, if you go watch this dude's highlight reel, you will see he is not scared to come down the line of scrimmage and get physical, whether it's making a play in the open field, hitting somebody, whether it's playing press coverage. Where does that, is that all mindset? Like, what is that? Because you are a very physical player out there on the edge.
mindset. Like me, and my dad and my brother, that's all we do is just touch each other physical. We always wrestling in the house or something. always, because when I was younger, I wasn't usually like that. I was bad with my hands, and my dad, he's training me. We training like when we train, we're full pads,
Mm.
just working with your hands, getting off blocks, coming up, making tackles. So I
So
get at
all those dudes your dad trained, was there anyone in particular as you were growing up that like you seemed to learn a lot from as well, in addition to what your dad was teaching you?
yeah, Chris Harris Jr.
Broncos, and then is Chargers?
Yeah, he's with the Chargers. Well, he's retired now.
Okay, but he finished with the Chargers, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes,
What were
sir.
some things you picked up from him?
Technique wise, technique, press man technique for sure. That, and then just watching him, I think he was like I would say he's one of the best tackling DBs to ever play. Like you watch Chris, you ain't gonna really ever see him miss a tackle. So, and my dad, he tells me be a sure tackler. You don't always got to come make a boomstick. Just be a sure tackler.
Get the guy to the ground. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but it's good when you can do both.
And then schematically, specifically to Arkansas, that Barry Odom scheme. One of the things we've noticed as fans is what he's phenomenal at doing is finding what a guy or a player does really, really well, and then
Right.
putting that player in a position within his scheme to just operate in that.
Mm-hmm.
What about Arkansas' scheme enticed you as a player?
Well, I one thing I looked at was I always look at schools like the front they run. If they run 3-man or 4-man front, they were multiple, so that was good. And then what they do on the back end, really, the first thing Coach Bowman showed us was like a day one install, and that was the same thing my high school team does right now. Basically, that cover two read, cover four match, whatever you want to call it. And then so we did that, and then also they'll do like put their man guy to the boundary, and I like that too. So, but I like their scheme and what they're doing.
Is that where you see you possibly fitting in? Is in that spot?
Yes, sir. Because I usually like if you watch my sophomore tape, I was at two different schools from my sophomore and junior year.
Right.
Usually, what I want to do is press more. So my sophomore year tape, I was basically pressing every single play, just manning up people. And then when I moved to my new school, I had to go play more zone coverage, off coverage, reading. And I said that really helped me a lot because that's what I needed to develop my game more. And that happened for me. So now I'm comfortable with doing both, but I'd rather be pressed up on an island.
All right. Yeah. That right there. That's the type of mentality we need out of players up at Arkansas for sure. And then the last thing I've got here, just before Toby chimes in, is was there any player that they showed you specifically on kind of as they're taking you through the install or as they're showing you the scheme where they see you fitting in? Was there any particular player or players that they showed you?
No, sir, it was not. They just showed what they ran and where they would see me. They told me I'd be in more of the boundary, and yeah, that was really it. Yeah.
So, Jaylon, on your visit up here, want to ask kind of how do the fans treat you, and online too? When you announced, obviously, Trey said earlier, our fans are very passionate.
Yeah.
How they treating you, man? And did any of that weigh into your decision at all?
They treated me real well. As y'all know, I was committed to Michigan State
Right.
at first. I decommitted, and all the Michigan State fans in my comments throwing all the negative stuff. All the Arkansas fans was in my comments. They had my back, so I liked that. But no, they treated me very well. I don't got no complaints with them. Keep doing what y'all doing.
You kind of talked about what the plan is as far as when you get up to the hill. Do you see yourself right now ready? Or I know you still have your senior year to play, but by the
Right.
time you get to Arkansas, do you see yourself being ready to line up against those SEC receivers starting day one? Do you feel like you'll need a year to develop? Like, what's your mindset heading into that first season?
I honestly feel like I will be ready. I've been lining up against NFL receivers my whole life. Like, really, I trained with Laquan Treadwell. He went to Ole Miss.
Yep.
Ole Miss SEC receiver. I'm guarding him. Fred Brown, he went to Mississippi State, guarding him. So we got for my dad training NFL DBs. There's always NFL receivers out there too that I get to line up and go against. I would say when I get to college, I can put on some more pounds and get a little bit stronger. But football wise, I think I'll be ready.
So for you, I mean, you talked about Chris Harris Jr., so that might be the answer to this question, but in addition to him, are there any other players at that level that you kind of tried to model your game after, as far as like when you're on the field, anyone you're trying to not emulate? I mean, you're your own guy, but I'm saying, like,
Right.
are there any like certain characteristics from different players that you go, okay, if I could press this way, if I could have this technique, this speed, kind of formulating that skill set?
I would say technique. I would say I want to try to be technically sound like Chris.
Mm,
Mindset like Jalen Ramsey.
mm,
Ball skills like Charles Woodson.
mm. Okay.
Yeah. So now this is a real important question. Who is your all-time favorite Arkansas Razorback?
Probably I have to say Jonathan Williams.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
I actually got to see him like grow up when I was younger, like 3-4 years old. I've known Jay Will my whole life. My dad also trained him when he was in high school at Allen.
Okay.
So I grew up watching Jay Will play.
Yeah, him and Alex Collins used to have a deadly 1-2 punch at Arkansas back in that era. In fact, that's when Pittman was the O-line coach with Arkansas. Did you know that? You knew that, right?
No, I did not. I did not
okay, so there, so Jay Will, him and Alex Collins, they were just crazy 1-2 punch, and Sam Pittman was the O-line coach when those two dudes were players there. So real quick, just to kind of transition to talk about your current high school, just for people in the state of Arkansas that may not realize this, like, you're actually at a very, even though it's a younger high school in the grand scheme of things, it's a very, very talent-driven program with some players right now who are doing some big things that have come through Lone Star High School in Frisco, Texas. Talking about guys like Nick Bolton, who I believe is with the Chiefs now, played at Missouri. In fact, I think he was recruited by Coach Odom. And then you had Mims. Is it Marvin Mims at OU right now? Yep. He's probably going to be a first rounder. Mm-hmm. So what's it like being in a program like that?
Yeah, I'd say it is. Our coach always holds us at a high expectation. He's going to let us we're not like anybody else. And it's true what he's saying. I don't think anybody in Texas is like Lone Star. I think we got one of the best programs in the state of Texas with Coach Rayburn. He knows what he's doing. So I just listen to what he's telling me and take that in, and it's gonna work out.
What's this season looking like?
We got a good team. We got a good running back, his name's Gerald Harris, and we got a good quarterback, Gabriel Barrientes. One of the receivers. We got good receivers all around, and our strong is gonna be our defense this year. We got especially in our secondary. So, and then we open up at the Cowboy Stadium actually.
Who's y'all's first game?
Texas High.
Texas High. Oh, okay. Texas High. Ryan Mallett, who we recently had on Razorback Therapy, he's a product of Texas High.
Hey, Jaylon, real quick, has any of the other signees reached out yet? Like congratulating, or any of the other guys that have been signed?
Yeah, we're all in a group chat. So
cool. So y'all already building that camaraderie and
yeah.
Who else y'all trying to get in this class?
I'm not sure really. I'm not sure. I know we're trying to get another. I think an offensive tackle and a D tackle.
So how does that work? Do y'all all just start like hitting them up either on socials or something like that? Like, come on, bro. Like,
yeah, like I feel like once they see like you drop your top schools, your top 4, top 6, then like everybody all the signees gonna try to get on you.
Nah, man. Well, Toby, you got anything else? I'm gonna ask one more question, so I just want to make sure.
No, just an absolute pleasure, man. We really appreciate it.
All right, so Jaylon, let me ask you this. There's a statistic, maybe you've heard this, only 2% of high school athletes go on to play at the Division I level. Was there a moment coming up, whether it was elementary, middle, or during your high school career, on the field or off the field, where you knew you were going to be in that 2%?
I've really always known my whole life. My dad, when we was younger, he always tell us, I'm not paying for you to go to college, so you better get a scholarship. And me and my brother, we both did, so.
All right. Yeah, because your brother, go ahead and tell it. I know he's a quarterback.
Yeah, he's a quarterback at Tulsa.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Playing up there at Tulsa. So you won't be too far from him, really.
Yep.
We got a little bonus content here with...
I'm Ronnie Braxton.
Braxton.
My son, Jaylon. in Houston, Texas, where me and my wife both graduated college. She pregnant with him. I'm already graduated. You know, she's fighting through her junior, senior year right there, and she has him, you know, up into 5 months track season, winning 100-meter dashes, winning 200-meter dashes, winning the 4x1 versus LSU, Penn State, and he's in her stomach. This one right here holding the phone. Now, don't get it twisted. This is my wife at the time. I married my wife in college because I gave myself to the Lord Jesus Christ. At 7.5 months, they took the baby. Him. He was 1.3 pounds. He was big as this Xbox controller. And they put him on a lung machine. I'm at this incubator praying. And people will tell you any and everything, but when your son in that incubator and his lungs is not developed, and they say we got to put him on a lung machine for 46 days. After 46 days, that 1.3 pounds, he get to 3 pounds. He grown. All right. They take him out of there right at about 5 pounds. They say he gonna make it. They sent us home and with him in a box. And you watch him in that 46 days, I'll never forget. His lungs weren't developed. So I went and picked up every book I could about lungs and exercise and VO2 max and the volume of oxygen consumed. And I'm realizing that this kinesiology exercise science degree don't teach me nothing about my son surviving and bringing him home to protect his lung capacity. They say don't make him laugh. He don't need to cry. He don't need to laugh. And this is what right here, this is the crazy part about him. He didn't even cry. If he cried, his lungs hurt him. So he couldn't cry, so all he could do was it's a month and a half, 3 months when we brought him home. But he kept on growing, man. At 10 years old, we took him to a doctor, and the doctor said, I've never seen lungs on a human like this. I said, what do you mean? He said, I don't know what to call it, but it's almost like he's got bionic lungs. And it's like a force field surrounding this human that I'm looking at. So I say, man, I'm reading and I'm studying. You hear that information. I'm trying to protect my family. I'm doing what I got to do. Then we start noticing about this one. He don't never stop running. So his gift and his bionic lungs, when you watch him, I had to rest him this year because he could have won the 400-meter dash in the state of Texas. And I ran him and we developed him so long on that lung machine, off that lung machine, you get to watch him. He holds the 8U record in the 400-meter dash in the state of Texas. 10U record in the 400-meter dash in the state of Texas. So University of Arkansas, you getting a kid that's got records in the state of Texas on the track. And still today, has not given up a touchdown in a single game. And I say that since Little League. 7-on-7 don't count. But 7-on-7, how many have you given up a 7-on-7 in your life? One touchdown. Jaylon Braxton, he touch a football and turn a corner. Anytime he get ready in Little League, they put a touchdown rule on him in Allen, Texas. He scored 52 touchdowns as an 8-year-old. They say the rule is you can't give Jaylon the ball if you up by 2 touchdowns or
Hey,
more.
Toby, that sounds like the Madre Hill rule. The legendary Arkansas Razorback running back. They did him a similar way in the state of Arkansas in his little league. This was just meant to be, I think.
The presentation of University of Arkansas Razorbacks strength room conducted in front of me and what I've known and seen, it was the best I've seen. LSU was, being honest, we ought to whoop them because of strength. We ought to whoop them off strength and conditioning alone. But that's where you see the Dominic Bowman on that board. You see the defensive coordinator, you know, let the passing game guy explain and articulate the game of football, the X's and O's technique, and he called it make it dummy proof. I love that term. You know, Barry Odom, you know, grew up a few hours from, not even a few hours, you know, a couple minutes from Denison, Texas. And, you know, he knows the history of Denison, Texas football. And you got Kendall Browse and, you know, Sam Pittman. One thing he know how to do, he know how to take care of everybody. He know how to protect. And you can see that on him off the football field. And from the football to the head coach to the defensive back, the amenities, the strength and conditioning, you know, that defense that's already being in place with the recruits that they've got and the foundation that the forefathers of that university have put down for these young men. You know, Arkansas deserve a national championship, man. It's just that simple. When he picked Arkansas, it was everything we prayed for. It was everything we prayed for. We are thankful. We're graceful. We thank God for God's grace and mercy. And I'm so proud of my son that I don't mind telling the whole story, and he'll probably, you know, say, "Oh, here goes Dad." But he don't know that the University of Arkansas only cares about him and what he does on that football field and making sure he conducts himself as a great young man and be a leader in the community. Keep Jesus Christ ahead in front of you. Go to church, say your prayers, and know that God's grace and mercy is sufficient.